How exciting is this? We get to talk to John Travolta. Thank you for coming in, man.
Well, I'm glad to be here. How are you?
Wonderful. When's the last time you were in Philly?
Starstruck.
About a year ago.
That's what I am. It's completely starstruck.
You are so sweet. Thank you, Andie.
Andie actually has tears forming in her eyes. I don't know if you can see it.
Well, it's funny because, when we found out that you were going to be in town and we were going to have the opportunity to speak with you, it was, okay, like if my younger self knew while watching Grease that my older self would be able to, talk to Danny Zuko. It's a big deal.
I had the same experience when I was little. I loved Paul McCartney, and I finally met him about 10 years ago. And if my younger self had known one day I was going to get that, I would have just been beside myself.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can prepare for that. Yeah.
When it actually happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when I saw you in the hall, because I thought, I've done my research, I watched the movie, I'm ready to go. And then I saw you and I was like, I'm not going to be able to talk to him. The tears started and everything. So thank you for giving us these moments.
You are super welcome.
Is there anybody, you mentioned Paul McCartney, that you still get all fanboyish over?
Well, lately it's been Pitbull because I did a video with him.
Yeah.
And I just love, because he's like the only one dancing and kind of performing at a fun level that I identify with. So I really got a kick out of his humor and his approach toward performing. So then he asked me to do that video with him where I danced, and it was really great fun.
Yeah. And I mean, is that where you feel most at home, when you're dancing?
Well, it's the most fun I have, That or character acting like I do in Moose. Those are the two times when I don't have to play myself, but I play another beingness. And when I get to move this body, which was meant to be moved.
Yes. And you certainly do that in The Fanatic, the movie that we're talking about. So your character is Moose. How would you describe Moose?
I would describe Moose as a man-child. He's clearly an older man, but he behaves like a child. He's on the spectrum to some degree because that justifies how he behaves with going over the line too much, and that's the simplicity of the description. He is a fan with authenticity. He really loves his artist, in this particular case, this movie star. And I think what happens is that he's picked on because of his peculiar personality at work. He's bullied. But then when he meets his favorite movie star and the movie star picks on him and bullies him, he doesn't know what to do. He gets discombobulated, he gets confused, and therefore ends up doing things he shouldn't do.
Right.
And that's the tragic part of this, is that, if the movie star had been, the movie star is a good person but a bad celebrity. If he had been better behaved and if Moose had been better behaved, there wouldn't be a situation. But of course we had to have a movie.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting point, is that he's not a bad person, he's just a bad celebrity. Because people have an expectation. And I don't think it's realistic for humans to always fulfill that expectation. But I mean, you've been doing this for a long, you're John Travolta. So I would imagine that there are days that you just don't feel like being super nice and outgoing and friendly to every single person that you see.
Well, then those days I don't go out. You see, I think it's your choice as a celebrity to navigate through that situation. And I think it's unrealistic to go out and think that you won't be interrupted at dinner or bothered at a certain level. Then sometimes you're in the mood, more in the mood for it than others. So just decide before you leave,
right,
what it will be.
Is there a disguise you can wear? Do you ever go out so that no one knows?
It never worked.
No.
It never
You
worked.
have tried it though?
I have.
Yeah.
And glasses, hats, even this shaved head and a beard. They get it.
Yeah.
Then you start dancing in the aisle of the grocery store and people go, no, I know those moves. That's Travolta.
I remember as a kid, you see, let's say, Paul Newman, and you recognize behind his ear, because in film, the over the shoulder shot would have been his ear and neck. So Paul Newman's ear and neck. So I think there's so many aspects of me, since I've done so many films.
That's true.
That people are so familiar with that it's very hard, even the way I move or walk or, just is recognizable.
And those eyes, I don't think anyone could mistake those eyes.
Sweet.
I remember having the album, the Grease album, and I would kiss you. You were my first crush, I guess. I didn't know it at the time because I was young enough to just be like, that's the guy. That's the guy for me.
Do you have security here? She might follow you out to your car, John.
Well, I would enjoy that.
Oh my goodness.
So I wanted to ask you to also, again, the movie The Fanatic, it comes out August 30th. The surprising thing to me that I noticed from the opening credits is Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit is the director. Did you previously know him and he brought you in, or is that just a happy coincidence?
Well, I'll tell you what. We met because he wanted to get into film, because Fred's first love is film. And he thought maybe I would be the one to get him there. And we waited years. We finally wrote this piece, sent it to me. I had no idea how good it would be. And there it was. It was just brilliant when I read it. And it moved me reading it. I was moved to tears just reading it. And I called him and said, I will help you get this done. So I have some people that finance movies for me. And Oscar Generality and then Bill Kenwright from England helped me put it together to make this a film. And it's because it's such an unusual movie, it's harder to get support. But I know, and he knew, that if we did it right, it would cross over into a very commercial concept, because it's such a good story.
Yeah.
You know.
And it is. And it's, I mean, I want to say it's almost realistic, but that would be a terrifying thought. But I guess it kind of is. I mean, doing what you've done as long as you have, I'm sure that you know people like Moose. You've met people like Moose.
I have.
Yeah.
And of course, because I understand being a fan, I respect it fully, you know, and I don't deny them, and I just understand the heartache that's involved. Yeah. I just do.
And he makes it very clear in that movie that he is a fan and not a stalker. And Correct. He says it enough that you feel in his heart that he thinks he's doing the right thing.
Know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's confused because he's suddenly been mistreated by his favorite person in the world. And he doesn't know what to do with that, you know. And that, to me, is the most tragic part, because he accepts being bullied at work because he's odd. He accepts being bullied by people in general. And he has an integrity about knowing that they're not really coming from a good place. He understands that. But he will not understand, under any circumstance, why his favorite movie star would feel the same way as these people that are being ugly toward him. He can't think with that.
Right. Well, when he's showing so much love, when he has so much love and admiration, how could that possibly come back negatively?
Be?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not a reflection at all.
Right.
And that's what makes the movie so tragic, but fascinating. You know, it's something I'd never seen on film before. You know, I don't think we've ever examined it at this level.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I loved it so much. It was so fresh.
I thought it was great, and I watched the trailer, which terrified me. And then I was like, I just don't want to have to watch this. But then I watched it, and it's better than the trailer.
Yeah,
it's much different.
Very
it's
different,
a different story than how the trailer kind of portrays it.
The trailer leans much more toward the horror aspects, or thriller aspects, and the truth is it's a mix. It's something new. It's a hybrid of things. And it doesn't mean there's not horrible things in it. It just means that it's mixed with a lot of emotion and heart, as well as the thrill and the horror.
Yeah.
know?
Right.
Yeah. Well, another movie that that my family loves that you're in, that my kids would not forgive me if I didn't bring up, is Bolt. Very different, but I just want to let you know that there was a time in my kids' lives when every morning, as they were getting ready for school, Bolt was on our television. So you are like part of our family.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, I have to actually agree with him. I think Bolt is one of the better animated features ever made. I mean, it's much more, let's say, has sentient concepts to it than other animated features. It's not a joke one. It's kind of has real depth and heart, and still utterly entertaining. You know, so I actually agree with your kids.
It's quite a double feature, Bolt and the Fanatic.
Yes.
I don't know
they're going to be at the drive-in.
Yeah.
But you worked with Miley Cyrus in that.
I sure did.
And I know when you're doing voiceovers like that, you're probably not necessarily working together, but you also sang together.
Yeah, and we did the video together of the song.
Right.
And we did work separately in the voiceovers, but the director always knows what each other's doing and matches it, well. And then it was fun to do the video with her. You know, she was adorable. Yeah. You know, and it was such a success, the movie, that we shared a good one.
It must be interesting for you to see actors grow? Because you've been doing this for so long that I think that it would be interesting from your perspective to see people come onto the scene and kind of figure out whether or not they're going to stay and their longevity and things like that, and then see whether they grow in their career or not.
That's really true. And, you have to have a vision of how you want the end game to be. And that's why when actors do advertisements or they do things that might not correlate to their thing, are you looking at the bigger picture, or are you looking at what you imagined your career would be, So it's an interesting thing watching yourself and others evolve in one's career,
So is that, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, so how would people, who knew you your whole life, like what kind of kid were you in school? It is back to school time. You have a couple kids. What kind of kid were you? Since you're so outgoing and fun and dancing now, were you the class clown, or?
I think I was an outgoing child. I was precocious to a greater or lesser degree. Came from a showbiz family. We were always performing at home in the basement, doing plays, my mother would read us plays to go to bed. She'd be directing shows. My sisters would be in Broadway shows, or they would be in summer theater. So we were a different type of family than your average family, for sure. And not eccentric necessarily. We were just artistic. And my dad was a jock, and we also played sports. So we were this unusual mix of athletics and theater.
Your dad was actually coached by Vince Lombardi at one point, right?
Yes, my dad was his co-coach.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yes, in St. Cecilia High School in Englewood. And Vince apparently adored my dad. Of course, this was all before I was born. But that was my dad's claim to fame. I mean, he's in the Baseball Hall of Fame in New Jersey, my dad, but his real claim to fame was that he and Vince Lombardi worked together.
That's cool.
That is really cool.
And that he really liked my dad.
Yeah. So was football your sport growing up, or were you more of a baseball guy?
I played football. I played quarterback. But I think I was doing it more for Dad, than it was for me. Now, I still follow it, especially if my friends are following different sports. But organically, I think I did it because I wanted to make him happy.
Yeah.
And
I would imagine growing up in such a theatrical family, you said you were all performers, you're encouraging that in your children.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's a golden life, to be a performer in whatever aspect you choose. And of course, as long as you love what you're doing, it's not work, and that's the truth. And they have a beautiful opportunity to excel in it and be choosy and discerning. And I like that they have that opportunity.
Yeah.
And is that what they're both interested in doing? I know your daughter's a lot older than your son.
Yeah, she's 19.
Okay.
We just finished. We did a film called The Poison Rose that did very well. People loved her in it, and she it was a film noir type film, and check it out. You'll enjoy it.
Okay.
And we did that, and it came out a few months back, and the film she did prior to that was with Robin Williams, called Old Dogs, and she played Robin's daughter in that. It's another one where she was great in it. So she is going to pursue it, but I'm giving her the opportunity to do it in a discerning way.
Yeah. And then Benjamin is just a little guy still, right?
He's
What
still
is he, like
but
8-ish?
he's 8, and of course he's a gymnast, and he's a tennis player, and he's on the computer, and he does perform too, and he directed a little on my Instagram. He directed a little film, and I posted it, and it's got like 1 million views.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody loves this little film. It's a 5-second film, but it's about my feeding him too many cookies.
Oh, hilarious.
And what happens to a child if you feed him too many cookies. And then we show what happens, and it's hilarious.
That's great. You both are going through the same parenting, because your youngest is what, is he 7 or 8?
Yeah, he's 8, as well. So it really is. It's so much fun. And as a matter of fact, he was watching TV yesterday. I was like, and I went to watch the movie, and I was like, okay, enough with the TV. I want you to go do something creative. And when I walked in on him, he was on his iPad. And I was like, dude, this isn't what I meant. And he was like, I'm making a movie. And I was like, all right, I'm sorry.
Right.
So yeah. So he's got those creative juices flowing too.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. It's awesome. It's very important for the kids to do that. And listen, at the end of the day, you want them being interested in something. Whatever it is. It's, because to be in the middle and not knowing and indecisive is far more rugged on your personality than knowing exactly what you want. You know, I knew I loved to perform, and I knew I loved aviation, and I pursued them both with vigor, you know.
Yeah. So is there anything else? Last question.
Sure.
Is there anything that you haven't done that you want to do?
Oh gosh, no, I think I just want to do more of it.
Oh, good.
You know,
That's got to be a good place to be.
Yeah,
in
we
life.
love that answer.
Yeah.
yeah, more of it.
Yeah. And we all reap the benefits. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you. You guys are lovely.
Great.
Thanks so
John
much,
Travolta,
John
thank you for
Travolta.
spending some time with us. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.